we should prove that we're just having really killing game against our team.
Whoa! Surprise!
And we never like mess up ourselves.
Nice. We can finish here. Clean game. No mistake.
We're like really rock solid ourselves.
Oh my gosh! Wild Turtle from downtown.
We play as a team.
I'm just basing and holding bot. Very good.
Good job, guys.
We can prove that we're best team in NA.
That's the game. That's the match. That's playoff secured for Immortals.
So we gotta just beat everyone.
TGIF League fans, we are locked in for a whole weekend of North American LCS action. Now, there are 2 weeks left, and the clock is ticking for teams to make a late season playoff push. Now, in order to do that, we'll see if players such as Pobelter himself, seen getting ready on stage here for his match against NRG, can close out the split in strong fashion, or if the likes of Santorin may be looking to make some trouble for Pobelter and the rest of Immortals from the NRG side. Jungle, they did pick up a match win last week, so improvement out of them. We'll see if they can continue that run tonight. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, here to break down all of the day's action alongside Mark Zimmerman, who is here to face his fear of going deskless. How are we doing so far?
Not so good, man. All my crutches are gone. I don't even have a pen or paper.
Remember your breathing exercises.
I mean, people are gonna see right through me now. Like I totally crutched on those. I actually didn't have good analysis.
No,
I just
you
looked
did not.
good with like notes shuffling around. I got none of that.
Here it
now.
is. It's do or die time.
Yeah, what am I
You're
gonna-
basically re-auditioning for your role here on the show.
How am I doing?
You're not so well. So let's
move on.
All right, let's set up the table for our discussion by checking out the league standings coming into week 8. Now, undefeated TSM is still your first place team, 1 match up on second place Immortals. Liquid and Cloud9 are tied for 3rd at 8 and 6. Middle of the pack, Team Envy and Counterlogic Gaming are tied in 5th. Apex and NRG are still in the hunt in 7th and 8th places, and Phoenix 1 and Echo Fox are rounding out the league standings in 9th and 10th. Now, Counterlogic Gaming and Team Envy, they are currently the 2 teams that share 5th with a 7-7 record each, representing that bar for playoffs. And that's kind of what I want to talk about when these 2 teams are in that 6th place slot. If anybody wants to make it into that playoff picture, these are the teams they're looking to beat and surpass.
Right, and I think they're almost a tale of 2 cities where like one is on the way back up. CLG, they had a really rough start and they seem to be pulling it together now, whereas on the flip side, Envy had started really strong, somewhat off the back of a strength of schedule thing potentially, and obviously they're just having some other issues as well, so they're a little on the downward trend but looking to spike back up.
Well, and that's the thing, strength of schedule is something we really have to consider as we're closing out the split, because with 4 games left, you definitely, the current records could tell a bit of a lie in terms of the relative power level of the team.
Right, it doesn't matter if I'm 7-7 and you're 7-7. If you're playing top 4 and I'm playing bot 4, it's still better for me, and that's really what you have to look forward in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So taking a look at Team Envy's strength of schedule leading into the final couple weeks, we saw that, of course, this week is going to be a little bit tough for them. They are going to be up against Cloud9 and TSM, sitting above them in the standings. They will get to finish out the split week 9 with Phoenix 1 and Fox. So expected wins there, which would take them to 9-9. If things played out to chalk in terms of standings, they'd be sitting at 9-9 at the end of the split.
Right, but I think as much as you'd like to say, oh, it's easy to see that these are the better 2 teams and they're playing 2 teams below them in the standings. I think like a team like Phoenix 1 is a team that's been surging a lot recently. You've seen them pick up some wins that you wouldn't have thought, you know, at the start of the season them ever getting. And so it's no longer this thing where you can look and say confidently we go 9-9. You have to really put a lot of prep work into that Phoenix 1 game.
Exactly. We're not necessarily certain. This would just be if it were to play out as the standings say. Now, just behind them, we've got Apex and NRG, who are sitting on that bubble. They're looking to mount a late season surge in order to make it into the postseason. Here we see Apex's remaining schedule: Fox, Immortals, Team Liquid, and CLG. So once again, Fox probably being their easiest of the 4 matches, but can they pick up an extra win beyond that in order to even close the gap with Envy and CLG?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of those matchups I wouldn't even say are really that great for them. Those teams are really aggressive teams. It's not like you're going against like you know, someone like Envy who's a little slower pace. You think maybe if we get a really good early game, we have a chance to upset or something. A lot of these teams are aggressive. They're going to be forcing plays around the map, and it's something that lower tier teams really struggle to deal with, because even if you kind of fight it off once, they're going to come back again even stronger. Like 2 minutes later, no summoners up, let's go again. And it can be hard to adapt to that.
Of course, they do have the benefit of playing one of the two teams that they're chasing in CLG. So if, again, everything plays out the way they need it to, then they do have the kind of the power to bring that last game home against CLG in the final game of the split for them. Moving on to NRG and their run here, things are even tougher for them. They don't get a game against a team below them in the standings. They're playing almost our top 4. They're playing our top 3 teams, as well as CLG, who, as you mentioned, are the surging team of that 6th place tie.
The one thing that's really going well for them, or at least was true last week, was that GBM finally stepped up and kind of played, I think, what people were expecting for the better part of this year, where he really kind of carried a couple of those games. And he's going to need to repeat those performances against these top teams if they have any hope of making it into the playoffs.
Right, so there's a battle for that 6th place and making into the playoffs. So there's still a battle within the playoff picture itself for 3rd place. Cloud9 and Liquid being the 2 teams that are currently tied for that position right now. Just one more look here at their strength of schedule moving forward. Cloud9, arguably an easier road, but there's still relatively tough matches that they're going to have to get through in terms of still facing off against Liquid themselves, NV, and the likes of that top 6 opponent.
Right, it's actually pretty interesting where you're both playing a 5th place tied team in NV versus CLG, and then you also have a couple teams out of the playoffs, and then they wrap it up battling each other. So I think it's going to be just a super interesting thing to watch where you know, if Team Liquid's down a game, hey, they can beat them, and then they have the tiebreaker. It's important for C9 to win because if they end up tied again, they'll be down. And it's a very, especially with C9 having a lot of these going to 3-game series, they didn't 2-0 that often. So potentially making sure that like they start winning the other series 2-0 is important as well.
Now, in this battle for 3rd, maybe you give an edge to Cloud9 in terms of strength of schedule because, as you mentioned, there are those 2 teams tied for 5th. Well, the one that Cloud9 gets to play is Envy.
Right.
They're the team that's falling. Liquid has to play CLG, so that would kind of be the break there when it comes to the difference in the strength of schedule. For me, the major difference is they're playing different
Right, you can say you're playing the upward trending team, or Team Liquid's playing the upward trending team, and C9 is getting the downward trending one, which sounds favorable for them. But I think at the end of the day, with how close these teams are,
very much so,
it's going to come down to especially that last match.
Anyone's game, and coming down to that last match, oh, it would be so exciting. Well, coming into the end of the split, the LCS has moved to patch 6.14. Now, this means that the Rise rework is enabled for play, but there are several other changes to address here as well. So running through a couple of them, we have question marks next to Rise and Talia because we're not entirely sure if people will have been able to pick Rise up this quickly, for example, and master him, and whether or not this is an improvement from his already first pickable state prior, we're not so sure.
Right, I mean, I think even if you want to say that, you know, the new Rise is super, super strong, I think he's a complicated enough rework that you're not just going to pick it up right away and, you know, that's it. So I think, you know, that's a tougher one. I think the Fiora buffs, even though relatively minor, she was in a playable state already, and this is going to just bump her a little bit higher on people's priority list. I think you'll start seeing her into those kind of tank picks a lot more often, and she was already kind of being seen there anyway, so she might see a lot more play. And then I think more importantly is the Cloud Drake. It's been one that's been rumored to be, you know,
so buffed. We put 2 green triangles next to it.
Oh,
that's
wow.
how buffed it is.
Dang.
Yeah, take a step back.
Yeah, there's the 2 green triangles.
No, but essentially, I mean, 25 move speed out of combat, 250, 275 is a very significant number increase.
It's like basically a pair of boots, you know, like you just got a free pair of boots, you get that early game, and it helps junglers, it helps supports, it helps mid laners roaming, and I think getting that much extra power off like a first dragon is surprisingly strong because you don't need the 8% AP AD at 10 minutes into the game.
No.
It's like, you know, at best a longsword, whereas this is going to get you to a fight and get you those odd number
Having
advantages.
300 gold worth of stats out of combat, of course, is very useful in the early game. All right, well, that's just some of the patch changes. We'll see how they affect as the players take to the stage. Let's take a look at the matches that are coming your way tonight. First up, Immortals look to keep pace with TSM in their match against NRG. Now, following that, Echo Fox, they'll try their luck against Apex. Tomorrow, they'll make your way back here for our match of the week. CLG has won 4 of their last 5 matches in their climb up the ladder. Standing in their way this week is 3rd place Liquid. And this is a big match for both teams. One, in that race for 3rd, Liquid wants to keep themselves with the match wins ahead of C9. But at the same time, CLG looking for that playoff positioning. They don't want to be finishing in 6th for the playoff picture and playing 3rd seed. They want 4 or 5.
Right, and I think what's really interesting is not just that CLG is kind of coming back and playing better, it's the way they're doing it. They're a lot more decisive. You see these really aggressive double flashes into plays, even if they don't work out all the time. The whole team, Darshan, is like going for the 1v1s all the time. And you can criticize like, oh, it's not calculated enough, but I think it's a trend in the right direction where they're starting to play very confidently and aggressively, and that's exactly how Team Liquid plays. And you might see like a total bloodbath in this series.
Well, that's an exciting game that's on the docket for tomorrow. Now, as the regular season comes to a close, a quick reminder that Worlds is just around the corner, and tickets for the group stages are on sale now. So check out lolesports.com/tickets to secure your seats to all the competition taking place between September 29th and October 9th in San Francisco, California. And a special announcement for those of you in the Los Angeles area, Week 9's 3 p.m. battle between Immortals and TSM has been moved into the Battle Arena, and a limited amount of new tickets are now available on lolesports.com/tickets, because that is going to be a marquee matchup to kind of close out our season, our top 2 teams brawling it out. I really hope that they come into that one still only separated by 1 game, so it comes down to the wire between them. We are ready, though, however, to play League of Legends tonight, so it's time now to send it over to the casters to get the games underway.